Hey, what's up guys? In this video I'm going to show you how to remove the turbocharger from this Mercedes E-Class with a 2.2 liter diesel engine. Also, I will show you a couple of things to look for if you suspect any failure with your turbocharger. The most common symptom of a bad turbocharger is lack in power and noises from the turbocharger area. So if you have a loss in power, it's a good idea to inspect the hose which comes out from the turbocharger. And if you look from this side, you can see down here, this is the hose which comes out from the turbocharger, which has the pressurized air. So you want to inspect for any cracks or leaks or disconnections. For example, this seat clip, if it does disconnect, then this hose will be off and you will feel on the engine the loss in power. Also, you can go under the car and inspect the intercooler. From that point of the turbocharger until the air goes into the engine, there can be a lot of points where the air can leak. So it's a good idea to make an inspection. The situations can vary from car to car, so just have a good look on it. Also, if you have the loss in power, it can be from the actuator, which I'm going to show you once I remove the turbocharger. Also, the symptom number 2, if you hear noises, again I'm going to show you once the turbocharger is off. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Unplug the mass airflow sensor. Now you can take as well the cover together with the mass airflow sensor. Remove the filter. And if you look down there, you're gonna find two E220 bolts. Let's take out this first intake hose as well. If you look down there, right on the turbocharger, you're gonna find another hose clamp. So with a 7mm, release it. And the intake hose for the turbocharger should come out. Down here you've got the positive crankcase ventilation, which will consume the combustion gases which escape by the piston rings. Therefore, you might find a lot of oil leaks here because those pressurized gases will come out together with the oil. So let's disconnect this hose as well. And the hose will come out. Now from this point, you can already inspect the turbine. Just test it if it moves up and down. Obviously, it should not have any slack in here. And this one, it does have a little bit. Make sure that it does spin quite easy. Also check if it moves in and out, and that should be okay. So from this point, if you hear a lot of noises from the turbocharger, you're most likely gonna see this turbine moving a lot. You're gonna see a bracket down here, and you need to remove this in order to take out the intake hose from here. The purpose of this bracket is to hold the wiring harnesses. Also keep on the intake hose, the one which will get the pressurized air. You've got here the sound diffuser, which is also connected to the alternator bracket down here. I'm actually using now the 8mm because it's a lot smaller and it fits in here. And you can place it under here. Okay guys, so from this point you have to drain the coolant out of the engine because you're gonna find a pipe here which cools the alternator. It connects to the engine head, and without removing this pipe from here, it's gonna be impossible to get access to that back bolt down there. Also, it's gonna be a lot difficult to remove this oil input for the turbocharger. So in order to drain the coolant, you're gonna find a nozzle down there. You can just twist it and you've got the small pipe which comes out that way. There is actually a separate video I made about how to change the coolant on this car. You can check it out. Down here you're gonna find the E220 bolt which holds the bracket for the oil input for the turbocharger and the coolant hose. Let's take out the hose from the alternator as well. It's a good idea to put a recipient under it. Let's remove the oil input line. Or this is actually the oil output line. Here it comes. From this point actually you can also inspect the actuator, basically the switch of the turbocharger. So you should be able to press on this rod which comes from the valve down there. So how this switch works, once this vacuum is applied to the actuator, this rod is going to be pulled on and it will divert the exhaust gases to spin the turbine inside here. The hot side will spin together with the cold side, and obviously the cold side will pressurize the air, and that's how you get pressurized air inside the intake manifold. Now to show you better, I have to take out the turbocharger from here. The only thing that's left is to take out this bracket and remove these 3 bolts which hold the turbocharger on the exhaust manifold. And if you want, you can take out this particle filter. It's connected down there with the same clip, the same bracket which was here. But anyway, it is possible to remove it like that, especially if you have a ratchet socket like this. You need a 13mm. It's also a good idea to use penetrating fluid, because in that way you can open the bolts by hand, which is a lot faster. It's a good idea to remove first the bolts which are hard to get access, because if you remove first this one, you are very tempted to remove this one. Then you're not going to be able to take these 2 bolts by hand, because they are going to be under pressure, because they will hold the turbocharger on once you open them. So if you keep this on, these 2 bolts are going to be free of tension and you can take them out by hand, which is a lot easier and faster. So as you can see, even opening some bolts requires some knowledge in order to make your life easier and work a lot more efficient. Here it comes, guys. The turbocharger is finally out. Make sure that you disconnect the actuator from here. It's just a simple hose. Right, now with the turbocharger off, you can take out only the cartridge and replace it. So we have to disconnect the warm side and the cold side. And first disconnect the cold side. As you can see, you've got a bunch of bolts around it. First make sure that you can loosen them all. Finally, the cold side is out. So as you can see, it's a little bit more left. It's coming out, but you have to knock it all the time. Here it comes. Okay, so finally you can see how the turbocharger switch works. You've got here the actuator with a little lever. As you can see, it's black now, but you can see how it moves. And you've got this corona basically. Once it gets twisted, it will also twist these little flaps here. It's quite hard to notice on camera because they are black, but you can see how they move. Okay, and you've got some flips in here, and you will choose. You either power the propeller or you just release the gases further into the exhaust. So that's how it works. As you can see, this thing, for example, doesn't move from here. It's stuck, and it's not the only one. This one is also stuck in here. This one doesn't move all the way, and there are a couple of more. This one is stuck as well. So if one of these control arms, I don't know how to call this, but like these control arms is stuck, then all of them are going to be stuck because they are interconnected through this ring. So unfortunately for this type of turbocharger, it's not possible to only replace the cartridge. You have to replace the whole unit. If, let's say, you replace only the cartridge and one of these things is stuck, then the actuator will not work. And if the actuator doesn't work, you'll not get the full power from the exhaust, because the exhaust gases are not going to be able to spin the warm part and therefore spin also the cold part. So if you want to reinstall this back, you gotta take out these little wheels, put all these little arms on the side, if you can of course, and you have to install the ring together with the wheels. This hole is gonna connect with this little arm here, so therefore you can install these little wheels accordingly. Now make sure that the arms sit properly in their holes, but here is gonna be the challenge because not all of them will move. So it's all the matter of connecting all these little arms in their position there. Alright, so this is the position. You can see how it should move. Open, close, open, close, open, close. So it's basically the position of this actuator. Close, open, close, open, okay? So here is the pin I was talking about and the hole is right here. Make sure that this moving arm sits very well in that hole. So let's see. Okay guys, so that was pretty much it. The installation is the reverse process of removal. It's very easy, so I'm not going to show it to you. So if you find this video useful, give it a thumbs up. Also, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I will try to answer. Also, if you want to really help me out, click that subscribe button as well. It's free for you and it will motivate me to make more videos for you guys in the future. I've got a lot of plans and ideas. That will depend on how many people are interested. So stay tuned and I'll see you soon.